backstage when she is good. And wow, that is the most amazing timing I have never spoken someone's name and seen them appear so much faster than what just happened.
Speak of the devil, she may appear.
I know. I was like, that's where that phrase comes from. All right.
Hey, Emily.
Looks like I didn't get the glasses memo.
We were literally just talking about that.
This side of the screen.
Talking about that. I was like, I hope Emily wears glasses.
Wherever, it's hard to figure out how to point online because you don't
know.
So us, we.
I
don't know.
I love that Emily put her character name. We should have done that.
Oh,
I'm jealous now.
It was a last minute thing. I was like, oh.
If anyone wants to, I wonder, can you, if you want to be removed from stream to put your character name, I won't be offended. That's really clever. Emily is super smart.
It's super clever. Yeah.
God.
How do I do it?
Let's not go too
far. How do I X out?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No. Leave?
Here, I will. It hurts less if I do it. There you go. You got it.
It hurts less if I do it.
Oh, everybody's gonna go put their. Okay, did it work?
Do I need to leave?
I think you have to like leave, and then that's hilarious. So we were all like, "Oh, I wonder where Emily is," and now it's just you and me.
Yeah, and it's my fault too. Oh, there you go.
Yay! Now it says Esdev. Okay, so while people are coming in, I'm gonna take the opportunity to talk about housekeeping things. Are you a part of groups that use the phrase like housekeeping things?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's a big one in the theater.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then let me put them back into. Look at that. Oh, I love it. You just went all in.
I didn't put my full name. I just put mine. Okay, it doesn't matter. Fuck it. It doesn't matter. Forget it.
Our heads are all the same size.
Yes, except mine. I probably should sit further back. My head is way closer than. Okay.
Here, let's do this.
Does the internet? Is it in there? It's my Imperial Arms. It's in there. I just gotta. Okay.
Product placement right now.
Thank you. Well, speaking of product placement, let me see if I share the right. Okay, I did. So it is a unique time in America where people are finally willing to listen to reason. And if not, I guess, I don't know. I don't want to encourage looting and the destruction of personal property, but for those that are concerned with the destruction of property, it turns out that there were many previous peaceful attempts. I don't know, a black guy on one knee at the beginning of a football game comes to mind, but there have been attempts since Martin Luther King Jr., since we can keep going back, but it hasn't gotten a lot of people that don't look like us very far, and so I've been very happy to participate in things that make the world better, and so Rachel created this. Funny, it didn't come from the marketing department. There's been a lot of marching going on, and so Rachel created merch for a cause, right? For those that are either concerned to be out in public, concerned to be in large groups, want to keep doing more. We have had a Trevor Project fundraiser ever since we did Make Anime Gay Again, and Rachel was like, we were looking at the orders last night. She's like, oh, I got orders for these stickers I created. And I was like, when did we start doing stickers? And she was like, right now. We started doing stickers right now. So we have made available Trevor Project stickers. And Rachel, are we eating the cost 100% on this? Okay. We are eating the cost 100% on the sale of any sticker that you buy, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's the Trevor Project. Frankly, I don't care who you save. I just care that your goal is to make the world better for somebody that doesn't look like you. And so I don't care if you do it for white guilt. I don't really give a dang why you do the right thing. I just want to, in some small way, compel anybody who's watching to participate in making the world better. We're going to eat 100% of the labor, materials, shipping, whole 9 yards. So if you buy a sticker for either Black Lives Matter or the Trevor Project, all of that money is going to go to either of those causes.
Black Youth 100.
Come on.
It's Black Youth 100 is for Black Lives Matter. Any purchase that has the logo that Eric created goes to Black Youth 100. Black Youth Project, and the Trevor Project goes to the Trevor Project.
Okay, so this is merch for a cause. I encourage anyone that feels safe, that feels the availability, that has the wherewithal, that can do it, to participate with people, with real human beings, and be out there. I have seen, for white people especially, I'm asking this to be done because I've seen video. I've seen video after video of a white person stepping in front of a black person to protect them. So I think it's a good idea to continue to remain nonviolent, but that also means preventing violence from happening. And we've got to this point in human history because too many of us have watched and not enough of us have acted. And the time for watching is over. Watching anime is great. Participating in stuff like this is even better. And I hope that's the takeaway that we've all got from doing these Colorworld lives is, man, has it been awesome to get back together. And that doing is better than watching. And so if you can be out there, you may literally be what keeps somebody safe. Your physical presence, your actual privilege, literally putting your physical privilege in front of somebody who doesn't have that privilege, maybe what changes their life, what saves their life. So I appreciate everybody. I appreciate all of you ladies letting me open up on such a heavy note. But gosh dang, if we don't speak out now, there isn't a better time, because for years we've been told this isn't the appropriate time to protest. This isn't an appropriate platform to protest. And I don't give a fetch. We got to save people, and we'll do it at any cost. So,
amen. Thank you for all of that.
Sure. Emily, I was so pumped when I saw you like renamed what you're called on Twitter. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm having that chick on. Like,
thank you. I appreciate that.
And I appreciate each of you that's been willing to retweet and to share. Like, there have been so many great messages of it's worth the risk. It's worth if you'll lose a fan. It's worth if you will lose an audition. It's worth it. That those small costs are nothing compared to the human lives that are at risk. And we no longer have to say that as a hyperbole. We no longer have to say that people's lives are at risk as a hyperbole. They're literally at risk. We are watching video after video. I watched a gentleman who was handicapped, who could not move under his own power, get dragged out of his own vehicle by an officer because he didn't put he put his hands out to be handcuffed instead of putting them on his head. I got to tell you, man, he's got to stop. I'm tired of seeing videos like that. So,
amen.
Appreciate all of you. Whew, okay, so Trayvon, it's going spectacular. I am surrounded by some of the most talented women in the industry who are not only good at their craft behind the microphone, but they are spectacular people in public and are willing to do the right thing, regardless of what it means to their personal brand. So Trayvon, I'm doing freaking amazing, and I hope you are too. So one of the most exciting things about doing this today, ladies, is that you all, have you ever done a convention together?
I haven't done a convention with any of these amazing actors.
Me either.
No.
Woo! So, Colorworld Live is about bringing people together. I was very fortunate to receive some very timely and heartfelt messages from Chris Waycamp calling.
Sorry.
I shut mine off. It's usually on vibrate. Somehow my alarm snuck through there. But we were reached out to Leah Clark, Christopher Waycamp, so many people that were concerned about my family and how they were doing during this time. And this idea was born. Leah was joking. People that know me know that a joke that's still a good idea is so this thing became real, and I appreciate that everybody, all of you, have had such a positive experience. I heard the cool chatter. Christine, do you want to start us off with, like, what has it been like to connect back to fans after so many years out of the game?
Oh, it's been amazing. Most people know I've been out of the game for quite a while. I come back in every once in a while to do a show here and there. A Comic Guy Kill was one of those shows, and it was one of those shows. It was like one of the first ones I did after being away for so long. Kyle called me up and said, Kyle Jones, who directed the dub version, he called me up and said, "Hey, I've got something that I think is perfect for you. Can you make it work?" I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna try." And I drove down for every session to do this show, and it was quite a bit, but it was really, really worth it, and it kind of got me back in a little bit more, thinking, you know what, I think I can juggle it. So I've done several shows since then, doing it exactly that way, just coming in for the sessions.
That's and then Christina, what has your experience been like today as you got a chance to hang out with people?
Yeah, no, the fans have been so wonderful and sweet, and we interact with them on Twitter and online so much, and actually like putting a name to a face has been so great, you know, and they just want to talk. They're not like, "Oh, I have so many questions for you."
Yeah.
No, they just want to talk to us.
Yeah.
And I think that's so sweet and special, and this platform has given us the opportunity to have like a one-on-one intimate moment with our fans, because in conventions, you know, I feel like it's so rushed, and we have to like get through our line, and, you know, our handlers are saying, "Okay, well, next," and it's like, well, I want to talk to this person, you know?
Yeah.
So this has been really great.
And Emily, what about you? What has your experience been like in Connect today?
It's been amazing. It's been really emotional too, because one of the hard things for me in this time is not being able to connect as I've been used to. I think particularly as a theater artist, you get, it sounds weird, but almost like, I don't know, not addicted, because that has a negative connotation, but like I feed off of that connection with people so much. And I feel like I got teary-eyed at least one time in every one of my hangouts. Like, and I mean, I'm like that. I'm a very emotional person, but just being able to like look at people's faces and talk to them has been so special for me today, and so fun, and so it's just really helped me recharge that like emotional battery, and remind me, you know, why I love doing this, why I love going to cons. And I want to echo what Christina said about it. You know, sometimes at a con, like there's a line and there's so much stimulation too. Like I'm a highly sensitive person. Again, I'll say that again. But so sometimes it's like there's so much going on, so much noise and like just sound everywhere. And this is really cool because you're like, everybody's in their own space and you get to just connect one-on-one or one-on-two, or as it were. But there's something about it that's unique and different than conventions in a really special sort of intimate way. So I've had a great time.
Molly, Meme Queen, what about you? How's your day been? We did.
Oh, we lost
Where'd she go?
Okay. Can somebody go find Molly? Okay, we're gonna have them go find Molly in cyberspace. If you go to the Colorworld books email address, you should be able to shoot her. Okay. All right. We did not foresee how much we all needed this kind of, right? And once people started connecting with each other, it was like a light came on, and all of a sudden we like got what was so important about separating in terms of like spreading disease, but then also what was like what we really missed. Like what did this expose about humanity and human culture and us as a people and anime as a community? Like being separated exposed how much we really make each other better. How much our lives are improved by. Molly, are you live? I see a picture of her.
Sorry, I got kicked off.
Okay, are you here?
There you are.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry, internet.
Internet. It's real. It's real. We had a hangout. I kind of feel like one of our strengths is if something goes wrong, we'll do like the game where we play tic-tac-toe and we loop people back in. So Molly, tell us about your day and getting a chance to get back in there and connect with fans, and what has that meant, especially now, to be able to connect back with people.
It's really nice. And I echo what everyone else has said. It's really nice to have a conversation with a human being. And I never realized how much I take that for granted during the day. Because we've had the guidance from the CDC and the WHO to socially distance and physically distance. And, you know, now is not the time to, like, if you go to the grocery store, now is not the time to, mingle. Not that I'm constantly mingling at the grocery store, but, you know, now is not the time to idle and strike out conversations that will take time away, because you could be putting yourself and others at risk. It's get in, get out, get what you need, or do like a delivery or something like that, or chat with your neighbors even. It's, you know, living in my apartment complex, it's been very much like I run to the mailroom and I come back into my apartment. And so having a conversation with someone about their day and about what they like and what we have in common is unbelievable. I mean, I had this really nice moment where I figured out, like, oh, Daniel and I have the same glasses, you know, and it's wonderful, and getting to share about what we love about anime and what it is that we do and what we love about that. It all comes down to connection, and that it all comes down to telling stories, and that's what we like to do, and learning where people are and what their experience is. I learned today from that they make fake snow in Colorado. When the snow isn't falling, they just make it so that people can ski. Had no idea. I'm surprised.
It's a
but
thing.
Yeah, I mean, I learned just as much. And getting,
I love it.
Yeah, and getting to answer questions about this cool show that we got to be a part of, and it's nice and humbling to hear that a show that we made, 5 years ago is still holding its own. It's nice.
Oh yeah.
I think what's beautiful about cast animes, and I say that, but almost every anime these days seems like it just has a really big cast. It's one of the things that made me love the Overwatch video game, is that we're intentionally getting to see different people. And because we see so many different people, no matter what you are, what you look like, who, how you see yourself, you can find a character to identify with. And I think what's neat about Night Raid is everybody in Night Raid is so different. And then at the same time, right, Christine, we see with the Jaegers, we see the same kind of diversity. And it's really like, you don't know who the bad guy is.
Me.
I do. They're bad. Anyway.
I love it. And someone brought it up in one of your
answered,
right? Is that Esdeath is so lovable. Like, we're supposed to believe she's bad, but how do you? She's just such a beautiful person, She just thinks that the way that they arrive at the world they want is different than the way that,
Every villain I've ever played, I always try to approach it as, you're just a person. You're, your objectives may be different, but you have, the same sorts of desires and needs and feelings as other people. Unless, of course, you're a sociopath, which she is a tiny bit of a sociopath.
They're not the villain of their own story. That's a testament to the writing too, that the villain's so likable. Yeah. It makes it a lot less like binary and dualistic. It's cool.
Yeah.
Who wrote Akame ga Kill?
The dub.
Yeah, who was the scriptwriter on that?
Caitlin Barr.
Kyle did a lot, but Caitlin Barr did the original.
Did she really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. We just had Caitlin on a week or two ago. That is really exciting. I think that what we're finding out, I've heard David's name get mentioned on Hangouts today, and he is prolific. He has made such a beautiful impact in the anime community in telling stories that aren't our traditional story that we've been told. And it was funny. It started with Akame ga Kill. Like when he got cast as Bulat, he was like, so you can just have a gay guy and like nobody has to make fun of him. It's just like he just happens to be gay.
Yeah.
And
so, I love that it doesn't come up as a story plot of it's just this person is a person,
Yeah, it's not like a defining feature. It's just like, oh, it's one of their characteristics. It's awesome.
Yeah. And so Rachel, it was funny. Yeah. Rachel was watching the VIP panel last time, so she wrote in like, how do I write a gay character in my book series? And then Dave's like, how am I going to give you, if you're in book 9 of your series, how am I going to give you advice on how to write Colorworld? So he said, the only thing I could really think to say is, if you just take out the fact that they're gay and their character's still there, then that's how you write somebody who is, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was like a really beautiful realization of just, man.
This was asked one time by somebody, how do you write female characters? And I think she said, well, you write a character, you cross out the name and replace it with a female name. Like, that's
exactly.
It's right people,
Yeah.
For those of you that are writers, Rachel just gets crazy when someone says strong female lead. Is that a trigger? Yeah, I already saw.
Yes.
Explain to us why that is so problematic.
It assumes that a woman has to be characterized as strong to be valid. And as a person, they are a living, breathing, complete person outside of any of those characteristics. And for some reason, writers who are trying to bring in women characters don't understand that all you need to do is write a character that has a part of the story. They don't have to be necessarily strong. They don't have to be sexy. They don't have to be smart. Just a character that is part of the story. And what women, especially actors, really want to play is that kind of character.
So
that you can take the woman out and it just, take any character, change the name to a woman, and that's what you've got.
Yeah. It's also sometimes a bit redundant, like strong and female. I feel like to survive in the world as a woman, a female person, you have to have a modicum of strength. And so it's like, well, and I read an article recently that was talking about how sometimes in the quest to write quote unquote strong female characters, writers will write characters that have exclusively male characteristics. Yeah. Like they take away all of their softness, they take away all of their vulnerability, and just write characters that are hard. And like, to me, vulnerability is strength. And so when you can write to me, the best like fleshed out characters, male or female, have all kinds of qualities like that seem to be contradictory, but that can exist in a person and do exist in all people at the same time. And that's what makes them rich and believable and engaging and makes people connect with them. And so, I don't know, as a playwright, I try to write people, women, men, non-binary people, that have like that full range of human characteristic and emotion, and that aren't just like caricatures or things that feel more like an outline rather than like a deep, you know, a human being that has like all kinds of facets and contradictions. And, you know, I think a really good example of like a well-written female character lately is Fleabag. I don't know if anybody has seen Fleabag, but like, I don't know, that to me nailed.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I was raised by a single dad in the military, and you know, for me, I was like, he always taught me to just be a strong person, and didn't treat me and my brother any different. He wasn't more sensitive towards me because I was a girl. It was just, you are my children, and you are the same. Your gender isn't anything, and you know, but I was always attracted to like the stronger, like, I shouldn't say strong, but like the lead male characters in these movies growing up. I was like, I want to play those. Those are the cool ones. I don't want to be rescued. I want to do the rescuing, you know? So, yeah.
For years, people have come by our booth and asked if we had Disney princesses. And the only Disney princess we would ever do any art for is Merida.
Oh, yeah. She's a cool character.
That chick didn't need a man. There was no dude that needed to save Merida in that. She's a princeless princess.
I'll be shooting from my own hand.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit older than most of you guys. When I was growing up, I'm in my 50s, and when I was growing up, Star Wars, the first one, had just come out, and so all the kids on my block would play Star Wars, and I was the only girl on my block, so they were making me play Princess Leia, and I was like, no, I'm Han Solo.
Yes.
I'm Han Solo. I refuse to participate unless I'm Han Solo, and so guess who got to be Han Solo?
Make the boy be Princess Leia.
I mean, not that Princess Leia is bad, man. She is awesome. Princess Leia is fantastic. Yeah. Even in the very first Star Wars, she is amazing. But you know, Han Solo.
I love Han Solo.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I'm pretty sure Christina already went all the way to the censors in the first minute, Emily.
Did I? I'm so sorry. I don't even remember.
I'm surprised it wasn't me.
I don't know. I haven't been contacted by any social media platform to say like, you know, like, hey, could you guys cut down on the? I'm not sure if live streams are treated differently than content that gets saved. So let me, as the only dude on the panel, the only bearded person on screen, I have often wondered, how do you decide your own, how you appear to the world? I am married to a woman who, on a scale of 1 to 10 of girliness, Rachel, where would you put yourself on that?
What side's girly?
On 1 to 10, do you see yourself as?
What side's girly? What side's not girly?
What do you mean? Oh, in 1 to 10. If 10 is, it's. I don't even want to use the term all girl, full girl. I hate labels.
Culturally girly.
Yeah, culturally girly. Where are you at?
Stereotypically girly. Yeah.
The most culturally girly.
10 is the most culturally girly. 1 is the.
I'm like a 5.
You're a 5. I would ask her about things that are like very women specific, and she's like, I don't know, I don't care. I am very blessed in I have 2 daughters, and then I have their mother, who I'm fortunate enough to be married to, is just that we never really talk gender in my family unless I'm like, if I ever see you. You know, like the mistreatment of, or the abuse of, or the misappropriate, like that's where I'm going to come in as a father. And like, I don't want to address it until I feel like you have an unhealthy relationship with gender. And then I'm going to step in. How have each of you decided how you are going to appear to the world on a scale of 1 to 10? Do you have that conversation with yourself consciously? Molly, I'll let you kick it off. Where are you at? How do you decide how you appear to the world?
Do you mean 1 to 10, 1 being masculine and 10 being feminine?
That would be the other way, I guess, to approach. So we, with Rachel, we had decided that 1 would be the least culturally feminine, and 10 would be the most culturally like what our erroneous culture that likes to label everything as this or that. 1 would be the least culturally girly, and 10 would be the most.
That is a really interesting question.
If you need,
it's interesting for me because no, I can answer it. It's interesting, right? Because I think it has a lot to do with how you grew up and what you you as a gender role and that thing. I grew up in the very strict classical ballet world, which has very old-fashioned ideas about what how a woman should look, and you know, there's a lot of things. So a lot of how I carry myself is influenced by that. That has been made wildly apparent to me through grad school, and how I carry myself. And you know, I don't make conscious choice necessarily on a day-to-day basis, like I'm going to look away or I'm going to look that way. Especially nowadays that I'm hanging out at home a lot, I'm like, what is comfortable? Yeah, I don't know. I think it depends on the day of how I'm feeling. But I think that gender is, if I were to speak on my own views on it, I think it's fluid. I think it's, I think that, you know, ascribing someone's sex down to chromosomes, XX and XY, is totally not even accurate. That those chromosomes are in charge of other things as well, not just sex, the sex ascribed at birth. And sex is not just a male part and a female part. There's a whole kind of anatomy that goes into it that is beyond just one thing or another. Lots of things happen. Gender is separate from that. And I think there's space for more than just male and female. Clearly, we have non-binary gender choice now, or gender even.
I honestly
identity is a better word.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I'd like to see a big, clear delineation between sex and gender. I think that there are important things that we need to know. Like, for instance, if you're found on the side of the road, we need to know some things about you to treat how you got there. In terms of reproducing humanity, there are some very important elements of that where your sex is very incredibly important. But it would be really nice for the idea of gender to kind of disappear from, at least binary gender, to disappear from the national conversation. I think that what we're seeing in terms of a certain segment of the population really struggling is that there is this culturally accepted norm, and when they feel that they don't fit it, they say, well, I have to change because you don't perceive me the way I see myself. I have to change. When what I would really like to see is let's drop pronouns. Let's all kind of restrict our own use of pronouns. Let's get to, like, that's Emily, and that's Christine, and that's Christina, and that's Molly, and that's the thing that's important, not these things that I can describe about that Molly is this person, Molly is not these things. Christina, for you, is that something that you make a conscious, like, this is how girly I'll be? This is like, is that conscious, subconscious? How does that work for you?
I would say, you know, I consider myself pretty girly, pretty feminine, but I'll tell you, being raised by a single dad kind of made me a real ball buster and made me a little I don't know if difficult's the right word, but boys were scared of me for like a really long time. And I will never forget when my father asked me, I think I was like a senior in high school. He asked me, we were sitting on the couch, he just looks at me straight. He just looks at me and he says, "How come you've never had a boyfriend?" I was like, "Because you made me this way. Because you made me this way. That's why I'm like this. I'm like, I've never had a boyfriend. You made me this way." You know? So, I mean, I would say I'm feminine, but I'm also tough as hell, you know, and I'm proud of who I am, and I can still be, you know, feminine, but be a badass and be strong, you know. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
It does. And Christine, you have been fighting this battle longer than any of us on screen.
Yeah.
Do you feel like
it's not something I consciously think about, to be honest? I was always a nerd. I was always really shy. And so I was part of the advanced reading group in elementary school, and they were all boys. I was the only girl. In so many things I did, I was the only girl. But at the same time, I like shoes. I like clothes. But I don't cook at all. I'm a disaster in the kitchen, but I know how to use power tools. So, you know, I don't really feel like I fall into any sort of way or another. I never understood why, if I wasn't taken seriously, I never got why. And I just didn't think about it a whole lot until I started trying to, and I honestly didn't experience too much from what I knew at the time to be resistance, but that's because I grew up in the 70s and the early 80s, where what was acceptable was very different. Right. And there was just a certain thing you accepted. And you accepted that when you went on auditions, there were two female parts, either a mother or the sex symbol. Or if there was a third one, it was the ugly friend next door.
Really?
And those were your three, and that was it. And if you didn't get one of those three, you're out. And so you had to sort of, as an actor, put yourself into one of those categories and figure out, okay, which one am I? Which one am I going to be?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, I think it was somebody who, Jameson, one of the commenters, had mentioned that A Kame Ga Kill was one of the first animes they started watching, and that they'd never grown up with those kinds of characters as options. Well, I certainly didn't, you know. Where I was growing up, I didn't see those kinds of possibilities. And when I was growing up as an actor, I didn't see those kinds of possibilities. I didn't see, and there's a certain part of you that just sort of, we accepted it, you know. You don't fight back too much. There was parts of me where I, you know, stomp my foot and go, I don't understand. I don't get this. And I found myself wanting to play male characters, or wanting to, you know, do an all-female Hamlet, you know, to do parts that were more challenging and had a little more meat to them, instead of being someone's mother, someone's wife or girlfriend, someone's love interest, or sex symbol that's unattainable, or the best friend who is not seen as a sexual object. Every bit of it has something to do with your relationship to a man, every single character that you play. And that was just what you did. That's what you saw. But slowly but surely you're starting to see now, and it's pretty amazing. I do think there's some missteps in trying to push toward strong female characters, and what you've talked about earlier, I think, Christina, about only seeing, you know, women with all male characteristics and no female characteristics. I think one of the first movies I saw where I saw women, and it's strange because it was a male writer and a male director, Bridesmaids. Paul Feig wrote women who were, our main character is a jerk. She's a jerk, you know, and she goes through that journey, and the women are real and fallible and vulnerable, but they do learn and they grow. It doesn't matter. The fact that they're women do play in, they do get through all the girly stuff, but they're people going through it. And I think it was just such a refreshing thing to see, wow, a girl can be a jerk, and you know, she messed up. She, you know, made some wrong choices. You know, but it was something that was super refreshing. So yeah, my experience has been long. And another thing, you know, directing at ADD, wonderful company, and I loved working for them. But in order for me to be a director there, the previous woman had to leave. So, you know, there's always one female in rotation, you know, and before her, there was one woman who had to leave before the next one. Yeah. So so I was just, you know, two women behind going, okay, when's she going to leave? When's she going to leave? That's my chance, you know? And I think what that's done for us, especially women of my generation, is it set up more of a competition between women than we really needed it to be. It really, because it was just financial to get the job.
Yeah.
And what I love to see now is, you know, the broadening of choices breaks down that competitiveness a little bit, and so we can work together a lot more. And
so two things jumped out. So I'll toss these to you, Emily, since you're up next. Is one is Christine reminded me of that underlying competition in women, and I feel like it is so pervasive in our culture.
Oh my God.
In terms of competition. And then the other thing is, Christine said that there are so many things that didn't even occur to her, and it makes me think this is why representation, this is why the color of people in commercials, the gender of people in commercials, like, man, is it important? Man, is it important? And if you don't see a black Barbie doll, then black girls, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, and yeah, okay. Emily.
Yeah. Well, to weigh in on the initial question, you know, I grew up with 5 brothers. My older brother, Jake, has since passed away. But he was gay, and people used to make fun of us because they would make fun of him for being effeminate. And they would make fun of me they said, oh, your little sister's more masculine than you are. And like, you know, I'm a tomboy, and like, for the first 10 years of my life, you know, I look at pictures of myself, I'm like, I look like a boy, like, I look like a boy in a dress. And like, I liked to wear, you know, I like to wear what the boys in school were wearing. Like, that was cool at the time to wear like jabots and like hooded t-shirts that were kind of big and stuff like that. And I was always very athletic, and, you know, still am to this day. But, you know, my brother, and I speak mainly of Jake because my other siblings are much younger, 8 years and more younger than us. But so it was the two of us mainly, you know, for the first 8 years of my life. And so it was like the gender roles were switched in us. Like, I was the one who was into sports. Like, I ran track. I was always getting into fights. You know, I beat up all the boys. In 5th grade, my nickname was Nutcracker, which is ironic because I played a character called Nutcracker in Tokyo Ghoul 3. But you know, and still to this day, like, I am a very, like, I love makeup. I love fashion. And I would like to see a world in which those interests and pursuits are not exclusively for women. And I think that we're moving towards that, and that's wonderful. But and I wanted to speak to what you were talking about, you know, competition among women, and what I kind of look at as internalized misogyny. And I think that I personally, to tell on myself, I struggle with internalized misogyny a lot because it was conditioned in me from a very early age not to trust women, to see them as competition. And I think that that was by design in the patriarchy. I think that when women banded together, they became a force which, you know, could be revolutionary. And I mean, I could wax philosophical on this for like the rest of the time, but you know, for a long time societies were matriarchal, and then I don't know what happened historically, but then it flipped, and men realized that they had and this is a generalization, but like, for the most part, physical prowess over women, and decided to exploit that. And that competition being fostered among women became part of keeping women suppressed and repressed. And it's interesting because I'm in a play right now. It got sort of postponed. It was an in-person theatrical production, but we ended that portion of it on March 15th, and we've just this week started rehearsing again online. And it's called Sensitive Guys, and it's written by a brilliant non-binary playwright named MJ Kaufman, but it's a cast of 5 women or non-binary people, gender fluid people. Our cast is it's 5 cis women, and we play a group of women who are sexual assault survivors in a survivor support group, and then we also play a group of men in a men's sensitivity group that's about understanding male privilege and like learning how to ask for consent. And so all of us play women and men. And so this subject has been like so fresh in my mind and in my consciousness lately. And we've spent a lot of our time in rehearsal examining, like breaking down the feminine characteristics that we've adopted physically that are just some that are inherent, and then some are socialized, some are taken on. And I found that when I was playing the male character, I play 2 male characters actually, a college student and a professor. I didn't think about my appearance at all. Like I wouldn't think about, do I look ugly making this face, or like, am I unattractive? Like that didn't even enter my mind, because I got into the headspace of a man and I realized like, yes, men are objectified in society, but not nearly to the degree that women have always been objectified. And so like I was freed from that construct of like having to worry about being pretty all the time, because I think that I grew up learning that I had to be pretty and seen as a sexual object in order to be loved and worthy of love. And I don't think that men go through that at all. And so I don't know, like I said, I could talk about this for hours, but that's kind of where I am with it. And like, I am definitely a cis woman, but it is kind of fluid. And there are some days where I feel more masculine than feminine. And I know, like, I believe in past lives, and I know that all of my past lives were not female. Like, I know I've been a man in past lives and probably will in future lives. I'm getting a little far out there, but like, I don't know. I agree with you, Brad, that like, I would love a world in which, it wasn't such a big deal to gender. It wasn't such a kind of like sexual orientation. It's not like your defining feature. It's just part of what makes you who you are. And I kind of see the world moving toward that place, and I hope that it continues.
Yeah, I think what would be more helpful for the national conversation is for us, like, in America, we're all about celebrating individuality. And the reason I say that is because so many of the big brands that are in America are exploiting our want to belong. They're not celebrating our, like Coca-Cola absolutely wants you to drink every drink with a Coke label on it. Pepsi wants every drink you drink to be up. So like in a lot of ways, a brand like Jones Soda is an amazing example of like every label is different. It could still be a melon soda, but like your melon soda looked totally different from so-and-so's melon soda. And that's one of the few examples of corporate culture that I can think of that really celebrated the fact that you're just you, in this idea that we have to keep like writing down. Labels are helpful in a very broad, very large general sense. But once you get any closer with a microscope, labels become more and more harmful. And it'd be better if your friends, Emily, Christina, would just get to know you for you. Pants, dresses, whatever. But that's, instead of saying like, oh, she's more or less girly, it would be more helpful to say like, oh, Emily and Christina, they just prefer pants over dresses unless the temperature is 89 degrees. And then they're quite thankful that their long hair allows it to look more acceptable, right? To have a breezy garment. Like, that's my...
I guess I was fortunate in the places where I have worked and my friends groups, and that's actually just never been a thing as to how you choose to dress, or it's actually never been, I've never noticed it to be a thing, or anything that anybody.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's not been my experience, but that's amazing.
Yeah, I was just saying, where I was, or if they did, I was unaware.
they want to work as Death, and they're like, yeah, I'm just gonna.
Well, so before while I was working in anime, I worked in the film industry as a production manager, and you know, everybody on a film set has very specific roles, and you're really not, everybody has to wear comfortable shoes, and everybody has to, you're there to work and do very physical work. So and that's where I spent most of my time, and then working at the company I worked at was a music and film festival and computer festival. So you work, you're dressed to work, and that's pretty much it. I think people would look at you funny if you came not dressed to work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Molly, when you go in, Molly, and you're gonna read for something, when you audition, are you hiding a bias for yourself that like, man, I really love this? Like, tell me about your process of like who you choose to audition for, and like how is that being informed by how you see yourself?
Do you mean specifically in voice acting or in all genres?
I like to think I'm woke enough to know that acting is acting, and that I think the voiceover community is still trying to fight that stereotype that there's a difference between acting and voice acting. So I'm gonna say acting.
Okay. So is the question is how do I choose who I audition for?
Yeah, like are there things that are operating kind of under the skin that only really you're aware of, that if you go back and you look at why you choose to audition for a particular character, is that being informed by how you see yourself to the world?
Okay. Oh, that's a spicy question. Let me think. It's interesting. So, certainly it is, it is a luxury, I think, as an actor to get to be really choosy about the roles that you take. Because there are things at play that are, like financial or health insurance dependent. We have to work a certain number of weeks or that sort of thing. So I always, it's wonderful if I feel like, oh, I'm going in for a role that like is really going to challenge me, or that I feel like, oh, I could really knock this out of the park. And then there are those roles that are like, okay, well, this is going to help me pay my bills, and I'm gonna find some joy in this, and maybe if something I always have to check myself if I'm thinking like, oh well, I've done this before, or like, oh blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, there is value in every piece of work that you can take on, and it's kind of, if you can't find the value in it.
That's a really
I don't know if it's a. Oh, sorry, what?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, that's a really refreshingly honest, like, it honestly had never occurred to me until you said it, that, if you have to work a certain number of hours to qualify for health insurance, that like, this is my, like this particular role gets me my health insurance. Like, I think it's easy to acting on a pedestal and to say that like, oh, this career is above other careers. It is more aspirational than other careers. And I hope that people that are watching find that very humbling, very like, I appreciate you. I really appreciate that you're willing to share that. Not a lot of people get to be that aware of how real what you all do each week is.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks.
I want to piggyback onto what Molly said. I find that the survival roles, the equity weeks roles, are generally more abundant than the like once in a lifetime or
yes,
the really juicy, meaty roles. And it's just it is the way it is what it is. But I did want to say one thing about one of the things I love about anime voice acting is that when I go out for roles in theater or film, I am absolutely limited by all of this, by what the world sees of me, what my face looks like, how I'm perceived. But in anime, none of that matters. And like, you know, I can play a little boy, I can play, you know, it's just your physical appearance doesn't come into it at all, and that's so liberating.
Yeah, Christina, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I love exactly what Emily said. I love the fact that, you know, in anime we can play anything that we want, really, any kind of character. We can play a girl with pink hair, we can play a girl with green hair, we can be 9 feet tall, we can play little boys, we can do all kinds of really cool things, and we're not limited, you know. And because like Emily, I am, you know, I'm built like a brick house, I'm built like a freaking Amazon, and I have long dark hair, and you know, there's so many roles out there that I want to play, but directors usually go, oh, she's the sexy one, that's it. And I'm like, no, I'm not, but thanks, you know. But yeah, that's what I love about doing voiceover is we can be anybody we want, really. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, David, I remember some question that prompted David Walds answered, and was like, I can be a 29-foot tall gay dragon if I want to in anime, and I can't play green and purple people from outer space in real life. I just doesn't come up. So that's a really cool. That's awesome. Yeah. I wonder if that's what lends itself to, like, I really appreciate the anime community. It is spectacularly supportive in so many ways, and I wonder if it's because of the diversity that is present, because your talent is what gets you right, because that's what we're hearing. What's coming through the microphone is your ability to act, and I think that translates very well. And thoughts on that playing a role in what has built this anime community?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess everybody agreed on that.
Yeah, you said it.
Oh, wait, was it a question?
I don't know. Well, to me, it just came to me, like, as you're talking, Christina, like, I was like, well, maybe that's what is leading to the special, like, you know, with superheroes in Marvel movies, we like, they're not hiding. We, like, Chris Hemsworth is that hot on or off camera. It might add 15 pounds more muscle, but he's still sexy off camera. Whereas, you know, in anime, you're just bringing the best of what you are and who you are and your craft. And you see gender bent cosplaying in anime. You see cosplayers that are willing to wear next to nothing to support a character that was drawn by some Japanese man who just wanted to see a woman in that outfit. And then, you know what I mean? And then at a convention, she's like, I don't care. That's my bitch. Like, I'm gonna, right? So I don't know if anyone else had I don't know. That was really revelatory to me to connect that together, that you all get to be so many different people, places, and things in anime, and that's quietly, without us really realizing it, feeding the community that is so spectacular.
Yeah. Pretty awesome. For sure.
All right. 4:28. So this is the time where we break to stuff as much as we can in our faces until VIP. Everybody, just a friendly reminder that as you could tell, this is the part of the programming where we get to talk about the issues and things that are important to us. And then once we jump to the VIP, it's your questions, and you all get to be the stars, and we'll be throwing your questions up on screen. For anyone that doesn't know about the VIP process, it's super easy. You just go to any of the links that any of these lovely ladies have shared on their social media, buy any ticket, whether it be an autograph, a hangout, a personalized message, and then that will qualify you for VIP. And then come on and get to know Emily and Christine and Molly and mine, or Christina.
So I forgot to put my name. I'm sorry, okay?
I love it. Rachel comes over and she was like, I'm like, do you want to, are you wanting?
This girl has no name.
And she's like, I think it's really great that she put mine on her. Like,
I thought that's what everybody else was doing. I thought that we were just putting the names of our characters. I didn't know we were putting our names too.
You guys are the best. Ladies, thank you so much for all the fun.
Leave it to me.
Hey, you a bad bitch. You do you, okay? If they don't like you, that where's that?
Thank you.
That is not the picture where you have the gun. That's a different picture. But thank you so much. We'll see everybody in VIP at 5 p.m. Central for Time Hoppers. That is 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And then if anyone's at Mountain, Kyle's in Mountain. So if anyone needs help with time zones, let me know and we'll transfer them to you on social media. All right. Thank you, everybody. You're amazing. I appreciate you. We'll see you in the VIP.
Thank you. Bye, guys. See you later.
All right. Bye.